Cajun capital of the world.
I'm the average Lafayette, Louisiana kid.
See, I'm back on my...
Hey, fellas. Hey, Brady Review said, congratulations. Say what's up, y'all. Yeah!
People that have courage don't have no extra gene. There's no difference in you. The difference is, are you going to sit down when it's time to stand up?
We'd like to thank the following partners who make Rage and Review possible. Our title sponsor, the Best Stop Family Market, with locations in Katy and Baytown, Texas, Toledo Bend, Karen Crow, and of course the official location opened in 1986 in Scott. Visit the Best Stop and ask about the Rage and Review tailgate platters. Gulf Coast Bank, title sponsor of the Tailgate Show every Saturday, 3 hours before kickoff. Planet Radio 106.7, Lafayette Roofing, The Yard Goat, Yes Please Branding and Marketing, Old Time Grocery, Stride Safety Solutions, Eat Lafayette brought to you by Lafayette Travel, Rage and Hydration, and Dr. Brett Venable at Recovery Chiromed. And we'd also like to thank our Patreon sponsors listed here. For only $2 a month, you too could have early access to uncut interviews before they air here on our shows. You also get an exclusive Patreon icon next to your name on Cajun Threads, the official message form for Rage and Review. If you are interested in joining as a Patreon, visit us at patreon.com/rageandreview. Thanks to all of our corporate and Patreon sponsors for making this show possible. We would like to welcome in for our Behind Enemy Lines segment, the founder of Feathers and Field Goals podcast, Bryce Leslie. Bryce, how's it going, man? Thanks for joining us.
Nick, thanks so much for having me. Super excited to be here. I mean, heading into this, the first season of FPS football, I wasn't expecting to be a part of a bowl season. So super excited to be here to talk about the Fighting Blue Hens, and thanks so much for having me.
What the hell is a Fighting Blue Hen, man? First of all, we know, okay, so I got to tell you, like South Louisiana, we got a long history of rooster fighting. That's not legal, and nobody ever does it anymore, allegedly. But that, you know, are they like fighting hens, or are they like? Tell us a little bit about where you got the mascot from.
Yeah, the Fighting Blue Hen is like the meanest, like I guess the meanest hen, the meanest chicken in the coop, basically, and. The big history in the state of Delaware with it. And I mean, I grew up in Maryland, so when I became a student at Delaware, I had my history to catch up on it with. But it's, I mean, long history. I mean, a long football history, and I'm glad that its name is starting to become more on a national spotlight at this point. Because I mean, a lot of Division II history, a lot of Division I AA history that eventually became FCS, and super excited to now get into this bowl era and this FBS era, part of Conference USA and the G5 and G6, I guess. We can talk about the Pac-12. I think now we would consider that in that mid-major, the G6 range now, and super excited to have Delaware on that, because now we get to get into bowl season and be a part of an exciting moment, the 68 Ventures Bowl, where long history of Mobile, and super excited this is going to be the first spot for postseason play for the Blue Hens.
Now I'm gonna share my screen real quick because I want to show you how ignorant people in the South are. Okay, I'm looking at this map. I'm looking at the Northeast. I know you guys are generally around this area. If I had to guess, and you should be able to see my pointer, I'm thinking, like, I'm literally so stupid. I think this is Delaware. Am I in the right place?
You are, yeah. You're pointing at the exact spot. We're like
Beautiful.
Newark, Delaware, where UD is at the northern tip of that. So like if you're thinking like where Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania meet, Newark is right like at the top of that like really small point of a state. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's pretty cool. Look, I literally would have said this, but I think I saw something about something weird. I'm a YouTube guy. I love going through YouTube and all that. And I think one day, like 2 years ago, there was this thing about Delaware and how part of it should be in another state, but it's not because of this and all this stuff. And that's why I remember that's where Delaware is. And that's kind of leads to the first thing I want to discuss. We're so far away, man, that you and I, and when I say you and I, our programs don't really know each other that well because of distance. You know, we're historically a Southern based team. We play other teams based in the South. I guess you look at the Mason-Dixon line south of there, but we don't really get out to places like New York or Delaware very often. So tell us a little bit about the Blue Hens. First, tell us about your FCS journey here. What you guys were like, what the success you had in FCS, and kind of how that's starting. To how that transitioned over to FBS and how you guys feel like you're doing so far this season.
Yeah, it's been a super exciting journey to get to this point. Just moving backward a little bit, I mean, very, very rich history. Delaware was very strong in I would say the later 1900s, especially head coach Tubby Raymond back in the day, which started the wing tee offense there, a very run-heavy system. Could kind of, I'd say like a cooler version of like what the military offenses run, kind of like the options, I'd say like were times 3 of they could kind of go in any direction. Super fun offense and a lot of history there. 5 Division II championships, and then moved up to at the time the Division I AA, which is now known as the FCS, as you mentioned. Won a national championship there in the early 2000s and 2003. Great history overall. I mean, the fan base here, I mean, it's a flagship school in the state of Delaware. And this move heading to FBS was always talked about for a long time. When I was a student there, it was always talked about it could, and I know recruits that I've interviewed and talked with, I'd say like in the mid to late like 2010s, like kind of viewed it as it could come whenever, it could come at any time. Like it's always been talked about within the university. I think the university maybe would have wanted it before the FBS transitional fee moving up was a lot lower than I guess Delaware paid when it got into the millions range, unlike the thousands and maybe 10,000s range when it used to be back then. But heading into FBS, it's been a success. I would say a lot of fans, I'd say mixed reviews. I think a lot of fans were going to miss the FCS playoff days where you compete for a postseason and you would be able to go through like a playoff system where, you know, you're hosting a playoff game and then you're going out. And but I think other fans were excited to see this next step because, as I said earlier, it's a flagship school. I mean, we see a lot of teams in the Northeast have this level. Like we see like a UConn, you would see, you see a lot of schools that were on the same level as us back in the day doing well at this level. So you're thinking it always was a when, not if. And now that we're here, my biggest question was how was it going to look? Because, I mean, you see these sites of the SP Plus of saying like they're comparing all the division levels, and you see sometimes the FCS school or the D2 school is like mixing into these FBS schools. And I mean, it's easy when we're on the other side of it to say, yeah, we can compete with those teams, but it's really hard to see it on a full scale schedule like that. And I think what they showed this season is they belong. And I mean, bowl eligible in their first season was stronger than what I predicted on our show, for sure. I did not think they would get to the 6-win mark, and I think it's because I was very hesitant into heading to it because Conference USA, I know it's talked about as a lower tier FBS conference, but a lot harder than what they had to deal with in the Coastal Athletic Association and FCS back in the day.
Yeah, doing it every week against that competition is certainly different than, like you said, playing them every once in a while. But we'll get to that playoff thing later because after we get through our conversation about the game, I do want to circle back on that, and we'll chat a little bit about all the controversy this past week. But let's talk about, from a Delaware perspective, Louisiana again. We don't know a whole lot about you guys, which is why I have you here. And then we're going to return the favor later this week and talk to you guys about Louisiana. But what do you as a fan base, know about the Ragin' Cajuns? I know probably, our name, and it's very unique, kind of like yours. But when it was announced that you were playing the Cajuns in a bowl game, was there excitement there because of the opponent, or was it just like, it doesn't matter who the opponent is, we're in our first bowl game in FBS, let's get to it?
I would say, me personally, I'm a big college basketball fan as well, and I always like to get into that, like the March Madness bracketology. I always try to predict who's going to be what seed, who's playing who. But this bowl journey, it's not like I haven't watched FBS football in the bowl journey before Delaware got there, but being a part of it now, I try to predict who and where it was going to be, and I think I learned from this process it just doesn't really make sense. You just kind of end up wherever you are, and you play whoever. When I found out about playing Louisiana, I'm happy it happened. As you said, we're going to get into that conversation the day before all the Sunday happened. So I'm glad Saturday kind of was like a standalone news release on this event. And I was super excited about that because regardless of the opponent, just super excited wherever we were going to go. But as I said before we started recording, the Fighting Blue Hens and the Ragin' Cajuns, the first thing I hear, Ragin' Cajuns, is an incredible name for him and the mascot and for the school. And my co-host, Dan, said he had to stop himself from thinking it as Louisiana Lafayette. He kept wanting to say it like that. So he had to stop himself from, I guess, officially becoming Louisiana. So that was actually his first comment. But regardless of the opponent, just super excited to be here. I think Delaware fans were just, I guess, we started a bowl tracker on our site in early November when we got to 5 wins after we beat La Tech, which I'm sure Louisiana
we
fans
love
are
it. Yes,
super
thank you.
Excited about, which was a hell of a game. We were down 9 with, we were down 8 with 2 minutes to go. Scored a touchdown, missed the 2-point conversion, got the onside kick with 30 seconds left, and only got 2 yards after that. But our kicker, Nate Reed, career-long field goal to beat them. It was our homecoming weekend, definitely a memory that will last forever. So I'm glad we could help you guys, and we can get to this matchup because of that game. Because if that game doesn't happen, then we're not in a bowl game. Well, I guess maybe we would have got there if teams are canceling, like we're seeing with these teams, and 5-win teams are getting bowls nowadays. But regardless, no really thought to Louisiana besides just super excited to be across the field from you, being a part of the postseason matchup.
I know you're planning on going down there, right, for the game. I know I'm in Houston, actually, so that's a little bit more of a trek for me, and I have work stuff going on during the week. So I'm not going to be able to make the trip. I think a couple of our guys might be going out there. But if you see a Cajuns tailgate, you have to stop by because you will taste some of the best food that you've ever tasted in your life. And that's our tailgate food, bro. That's our Now, it will be something bird related. I guarantee you it'll probably be a chicken and sausage gumbo or something with a bird in it. But don't think that we're going to be unfriendly to you. It's the best people you ever meet, and they're going to actually feed you and give you some adult drinks at that. So please do stop by one of our tailgates while we're out there. Let's get into the game itself and talk about you guys. 6-6 on the season. Again, you had some big wins against UConn and Louisiana Tech. But let's start with your offense. From an offensive standpoint, you guys are a fast-paced team. You like to spread the ball around. However, the quarterback, Nick Minicucci, am I saying that right, Minicucci?
Yeah, I'm impressed. You got it right. Yeah.
Thank you. He scored 10 touchdowns on the year with his legs, which is super impressive and a lot like the capability of our quarterback, Lunch Winfield. Tell us a little bit about Nick and his quarterback style and really what we can expect from the Delaware offense this week.
Starting with Nick, Nick's a gamer. Starting to the season, I guess a little bit of history on Nick. And as a true freshman in 2023, was the third string quarterback, was on half scholarship at the time, really worked his way up the depth chart. The starting quarterback at the time, Ryan O'Connor, it was the regular season finale that year against our rival in the CAA, Villanova, was hurt early on in the regular season finale. The backup, Zach Marker, went down a drive or two later in that game. So as a true freshman on half scholarship at the time, because FCS, you can have half or quarter scholarships, whatever you can get to, I guess from FBS to FCS, the 63 limit instead of the 85 limit. So Nick was only a half scholarship at the time, and he likes to always point that out because he has always kind of been an underdog his whole life. He's been on our podcast. He's always said that. And his first career start, he went into the game, didn't work out the way for Delaware against Villanova, but his first career start was his freshman year in the first round of the FCS playoffs at home against, it's funny I say Louisiana Lafayette, but it was against Lafayette College in Pennsylvania at the time. Fell behind early and rallied around and won a really close game at home. Sophomore year, similar standpoint, was third string on the depth chart, and heading into 2025 was the backup, but the starter, Zach Marker, who I mentioned was the backup in 2023, got hurt the second drive of the season against Delaware State to start this year, torn ACL. And so Nick stepped in, and I mean, he became the leading passer in Conference USA this year. Like, he just really owned the moment. He's been prepared for it. He's had 2 years to prepare for coming off the bench. And it's always easy to say and next man up, but we've always talked to him about it's super easy to say next man up, but it's a matter of actually like showing on the field, especially because he feels that he earned the starting role in preseason. So he was super excited to finally showcase that, and he fully took advantage of that with a head coach and offensive play caller in Ryan Carty, who is a former Delaware quarterback himself and was there for a national championship. So he in the FCS era in 2003. So a very quarterback friendly system. And Nick took advantage of that. As you said, rushing touchdowns. I wouldn't say, like, when you think of a dual threat runner, he's not somebody that they're going to run a lot of options where he can be shifty. I always say he's not an east-west runner where you're really worried about him breaking. He's more of a north-south guy. So you're thinking power runs. Like, he's someone that likes to get hit. And I think maybe with the Delaware quarterback position, how much they've dealt with injuries these past 3 years, I think he gets hit too much for what they would like, but he says he likes it too much. Like, he's like, we're playing football. I'd say, like, he always says himself as he likes to get hit like Josh Allen, and he likes to talk like Baker Mayfield. So he's a guy that really appreciates the moment, and I think it's just super excited to have a 13th game because I think like us, not really knowing what was next, they thought their season was over November 29th. So just to extend the season, they're super excited about. As you said, offensive-wise, they like to spread the ball out. I think that maybe they like to pass it a little too much than what they've gotten into this year. As you said, Conference USA, week-to-week basis, playing against some teams that defensively challenge them a lot. So maybe you're playing from behind and you have to pass it at those points. But I think a side that maybe wants to run it a little bit more. So super fun offense, and Nick's been a great surprise into this process.
Yeah, I noticed that on the wide receiver front, you guys have you guys have 3 slot receivers that can do some damage. Is Minicucci more of a guy who wants to, throw the slant or hit a guy on an outside route or wheel route, 10, 15 yards versus trying to beat you over the top deep? Is that what we're kind of expecting from the Blue Hens this week?
I would say, as you said earlier, this team plays fast. Like they as soon as that play's done, they're running up tempo, no huddle offense. I think they want to go. I think a little bit of mix, as I would say. They have some receivers that do a little bit, as you can see, Jakari Kelly, number 9, Jake Thaw, number 15, and Donovan Lewis, number 87. I'd even have to add number 0, Max Patterson, because this is going to be his final game of his collegiate career, transfer from Rutgers coming in. Those 4 guys are always playing towards the middle of the field. They're sort of the guys that they want to get the ball out quick to. And then I'm thinking about their 2 leading receivers on the year, 2 all-conference receivers, Sean Wilson, Kyrie DePlacy. Those are the 2 that stretch the offense out. Kyrie DePlacy, I would say, is kind of the jump ball receiver. He's a Coastal transfer. I don't know if he actually, surprisingly, didn't really see the field for Coastal in the Sun Belt, but it was Conference USA all first team this year, was one of the top 2 leading receivers in yards per game in the conference this year. And I'm a little confused seeing how strong he was, how he didn't get on the field at Coastals. That's actually one of my biggest questions. But Sean Wilson's a redshirt freshman, really broke out on the scene. I'd say those 2 are like the deep ball threats, the route runners downfield. And I would say the 4 I mentioned before are kind of the short game. So I think they want to do a little bit of everything, but I can say regardless, they're going to play fast. So even if it's if it's a 50-yard pass or a 5-yard pass, they're getting up the line of scrimmage and they're ready to run the next play well before that 40-yard play clock runs down.
Let's talk a little bit about your offensive line. They seem to be pretty experienced, and they are good at protecting the quarterback this season. But there seems to be a little bit of worry about the depth of the O-line this season. Who are some of the guys that we should watch out for on the offensive line? And are you concerned about the depth?
Yeah, I haven't really been too concerned about the depth this year just because they haven't really had to test it too much. So they've had 6 guys they've had to go with this year for 5 spots. And Chris Rogers, our offensive line coach, has always said, you're not just a tackle on the team. You're just not a guard on the team or just a center. You have to be able to – we're going to play our best 5 guys regardless of where it fits. And they've had some injuries on the O-line, but I would say not at the same time, which has been lucky for them to, plug their best 6 guys in the 5 different spots. They haven't really had to test the depth as it seems, besides maybe I would say like maybe a 4th and short or 3rd and short where they bring out that 6th offensive lineman. They usually bring out a Cole Snyder, who's a Montana State transfer that would maybe come into that point. But besides that, there's 6 guys who are normally in at this point. I'd say left tackle Amar O'Neal, who's a Delaware. Went to a Delaware high school, Middletown, and he's a stud. Was all Conference USA honorable mention as a sophomore. His freshman year was all CAA recognition as well. I would say their interior of their offensive line is like where their bread and butter is. Their center, Stephen Naboski, was all Conference USA second team. Fenton Brose, their left guard, was all Conference USA first team. Brose started on the defensive line and transitioned. Basically, he played some tackle. He even started the year as center when Naboski was out the first couple of games. He's a gamer. This is going to be his last game. So I guess I personally think that hopefully injury aside and portal aside, thinking about the portal opens in January, but you're still seeing guys, I guess, intent to enter and not playing in this 13th game. And I don't even want to get into that, but Delaware hasn't been affected by that yet. And fingers crossed, knock on wood for this. But I hope that depth isn't tested because it hasn't been tested all year. So I don't even know kind of like who's the next man up after the 6 we've seen this year because it just hasn't been seen besides maybe if the game's out of hand one way or another. So I haven't really seen like ones versus ones on who's up after those 6. I guess the other ones that maybe I missed were I would say Anthony Kachesi, who's a redshirt sophomore. You could maybe see a little bit of him, maybe out at right tackle or right guard, or maybe at right tackle as well. You'd see Noah Roshak, who's a Syracuse transfer, who also has played on the line, and Patrick Shupp, who's another 6-year guy. So those are kind of the 6 names I mentioned are basically probably the only 6 we're going to see unless Mobile just really hits us in injuries, which I hope doesn't happen.
Moving over to the defensive side of the ball, you guys run a 3-3-5 scheme, and much like the Cajuns, y'all have struggled at times defending against the pass. Let's talk a little bit about your D-line. You got a defensive tackle, Keyshawn Hunter, who transferred to you from ODU and seems to be a menace to other teams. Talk a little bit about the talent of your D-line and if there's anyone we should pay attention to.
Keyshawn Hunter's a great name to bring up. He's kind of the nose in the 3-3-5. For the 3 years he's been here since ODU, it's just been a monster. In the middle, run-stopping clogger, I would say, the best. Another similar. What I said when I said I didn't predict 6 wins, it's because I didn't believe in this group, just because I didn't know how it would translate. But what I did know is this team is very experienced, specifically on the defensive line. A lot of guys who it's going to be their last game coming up. A pair of 6-year guys on the team that have been here since the 2020 COVID season, and that's Jack Hall and Ethan Saunders, who's a captain on the team. Those two, I would say we talked with the UConn win earlier, those two combined for a sack in overtime on 3rd and goal at the 2-yard line to force UConn to take 3, and then Delaware scored 6 to win the game in overtime. So those are 2 guys that are going to get their last chance to wear the winged helmets, the blue and gold for one more time. Another name to watch out for on the defensive line, I would say, is a Delaware native who transferred in from Kentucky this past year, Noah Matthews, who's an outside linebacker, edge rusher for Kentucky, but as I guess put on more weight and now is fit inside in this 3-3-5. If you talk to Delaware fans, I don't know how much they like this 3-3-5, but I think from FCS to FBS, they've been forced to have to run some 4-man fronts a little bit more than they maybe would have had to do in FCS now facing some bigger, stronger offensive lines.
Would you say a weakness on your defense is getting beat over the top? Because looking at some of the stats, that's kind of what I've seen. You guys tend to defend the run pretty well, but have some trouble over the top. Is that the case with you guys, or is that just a couple of bad games you had this season?
I would say it's sometimes a little bit different. Each game, I would say like the UTEP game was like their most. They had 6 turnovers in this final game of the regular season. It's the most in Ryan Carty's head coaching history, and 5 interceptions from that, and a fumble return for 6. But they got beat over the top multiple times that game, multiple times for 50+ yards. Some games, it's again, I can remember the Liberty game and the Wake Forest game, both in November as well. They just got beat on big plays, both the pass and the run. I would say the biggest weakness on the defense is explosive plays. That's been a game 1 to game 12 problem. Like sometimes I would say like maybe game 6, they cleaned it up, and then game 7, they cleaned it up, and then game 8, multiple times beat again. So explosive plays, I would say, is definitely the biggest weakness on this team. I would say they're situationally, like, I know that the bottom 1 to 2 in yards per game and points against per game in the defense, but I would say like they're situationally, like they've been in really close games this year. They made stops when they needed to, but I would say sometimes maybe in that second quarter, the middle 8 minutes is sometimes they get beat, and it's definitely been a frustrating topic for Delaware fans throughout this year. Yeah, explosive plays have been a problem definitely in the past game.
Yeah, and we, sometimes we struggle getting beat over the top. I mean, it's crazy. Nothing's more frustrating than watching a quarterback just throw a ball up that nobody should catch, and then, of course, they have a wide receiver under it somehow. So, we had a lot of missed assignments this season in our secondary, and that's really what concerns me going against a very talented quarterback that you guys have. But you guys do have some talent in the defensive back position. I did notice KT, is it CA?
KT Say. Yep.
Yeah, he's. I mean, the guy's got. Let's see, he's got 3 interceptions on the season, but he leads the team in tackles with 20, and then you got Pollard right behind him with 16 tackles and 4 interceptions. So those guys are ball hawks. I think we're going to have to watch out for them. We've got some talent in the wide receiver core. And we'll get into this when we're talking about Louisiana later. My concern is that we tend to sometimes go to the same receivers over and over again. We're not very good when you guys start double teaming receivers, but we do have some talent in the wide receiver core. But I think those 2 defensive backs, I just wanted to point them out. Are those the 2 best guys that you have in the backfield?
Yeah, I would say so. When you brought up earlier, Lane, that the 3-3-5 defense, KT Say is like the true, like, I would say the center fielder of the defense. He's that middle, like, 3 of the 3-3. I guess I would say the middle 3 of that 5 of the 2 corners and the 3 safeties. He's kind of the center fielder. They give him basically free reign, like read the quarterback, read the coverage, read the offensive routes, and he had 4 picks in 2024 at FCS and has had 3 this year. He's the best player on the defense. He has 1 more year of eligibility after this. He's been fantastic. I want to see him in the Blue Hens in 2026, but he's definitely a power 4 player. Like I wouldn't be shocked to see him elsewhere in 2026. He's a stud. Myson Pollard has been a great surprise. A non-D1 transfer from New England. 4 picks, but only in 2 games. He had 2 picks against Florida International and had 2 picks in the final against UTEP. Actually was honored for All Conference USA as a kick returner. So also in that style of game, led the conference or was second team. So I think he's second in yards per kick return, but Delaware is overall the most kick and punt yards on return. But Myson Pollard, another ball hawk. He is, I would say, more of the field side safety. So you're going to see him, if you're on like the hash, you'll see him on the furthest side of the field. He covers a lot of space as well. I would say another defensive back to watch out for is definitely Nate Evans, a cornerback. He's an NC State transfer. He also has 2 interceptions on the year. I would say that he's had a really strong year, and this is going to be his last year of eligibility as well. So it's tough to say sometimes because you think about, as we talked about, sometimes you get beat over the top, but like individually, these guys have been strong all year, but sometimes it leaks through. Like my son got beat pretty noticeably early on in the UTEP game, but then had 2 picks following that. So and you like to see adjustments for sure. But I think you noted those 2 games, Nate, and I would say also Jamarian Colick-Bodie, who is a true freshman, was on all freshman team. He splits time at the other cornerback spot with Kayshawn Cox. Those 2 guys are pretty strong as well. So, no, yeah, I think those are the guys you're going to see, and I always say knock on wood that there's no portal interference before we get there.
Yeah, knock on wood, we'll see. You never know how that goes. Now that the portal has been moved back, that's helped a little bit, but, guys are still opting out. Crazy stuff, man. Lunch Winfield, quarterback for Louisiana. Not sure if you've had the chance. I'm sure you've had a busy week, and we just found out this matchup. So I was struggling I went back and watched some of the La Tech game. That's how I know a couple of your players. But one of the questions I have for you is Lunch Winfield, if he's healthy enough to play, because he did suffer an injury in the last game of the season. Hopefully he's able to go. If he is a true dual threat quarterback, and he is the guy that can beat you east to west. He's not trying to go north south unless we're deep in the enemy territory. So, question to you: have you faced a dual threat quarterback this season? Are you concerned about that? Or are you confident in your team's ability to stop a guy who can beat you with his legs and his arm?
I would say definitely that. First off, Lunch, great name, that's awesome. By
the way, he has an NIL deal with Lunchables, which I think is amazing.
I mean, that'd be a missed opportunity if that wasn't taken advantage of. That's awesome. So I mean, I'd say mobile quarterbacks is definitely an issue with this offense, because you think, like we talked about, sometimes you get beat over the top, but if you get too focused on that, sometimes you forget about the quarterback can actually step out and pick up yards himself, and that adds a different element of adding a spy to the defense. And I know Louisiana has a pair of great running backs as well. So I think it adds a new element to the offense to be prepared for. I'm definitely concerned about that. When we faced Caden Salter a little bit in the Colorado game, he was a Liberty quarterback, dual threat. I mean, a lot of the Conference USA quarterbacks are dual threat. I'd say specifically the Jacksonville State quarterback Caden Creel could step on the pocket, and sometimes you think that the play was kind of over, like the coverage did their assignment, but sometimes it could leak through the line and the quarterback had a full space in front of them. So I would say hopefully the defensive coordinator Manny Rojas has a spy or a plan ready for that, but I would definitely say that Delaware historically has had an issue stopping running quarterbacks when that element's added.
We'll see, though, because we're not sure. Like I said, I'm not sure if he's healthy enough. If not, Walker Howard gets the start. He's an LSU and Ole Miss transfer. I mean, he's a fifth-year. I think he's 35 years old. He's a fifth-year senior. So we'll see how that develops.
Got the COVID year, got the redshirt year, got the injury year.
Dated Lane Kiffin's daughter. Been through everything. That guy has seen everything. Recently got engaged to somebody else. I mean, I'm just saying, guys move back to Lafayette and start dating Lafayette girls, and they get married. It's kind of what happens. So, but yeah, you'll see one of those two this weekend or next week. Sorry. Go ahead, Lane.
I feel like this matchup's a pretty even matchup, and feel like it's going to be a close one when you look at the results of both teams. What are your 3 keys to victory to get a win over the Cajuns?
I would say my first one is that I'm glad that it wasn't a week, it wasn't a scheduled week after Louisiana won 4 straight, because I'm thinking maybe the cooldown period might be better for Delaware in the sense of Louisiana had all odds against them of getting bowl eligible and just seeing what they did in their November slate to get there. I mean, I said earlier we started a bowl tracker at Delaware. I would be lying if I said November 29th. I wasn't rooting for Louisiana Monroe so it could send Louisiana to 5-7 to open up that last spot, because Delaware being their first year in FBS, they didn't have a 6-win mark and you're in. They had to have 81 teams once Missouri State got to the 7-win mark. They had to have 81 teams, only 81 be bowl eligible to be able to become bowl eligible. So it's been super impressive to see what Louisiana's done, the Raging Cajuns have done since really the whole November slate to get there. So I'd say the first is getting to that point. I'd say the second is explosive plays that we just talked about is in UTEP. I mean, Delaware won 61-31. Basically, everything worked on the offensive side of the ball that day. It was an easy day for the punter, Brendan Locke. I would say that for sure. Everything worked on the offensive side of the ball. But defensive side, 31 points. UTEP got it within one possession at halftime. And the offense does its job, but if the defense can only hang out there for only a few plays and a quick counter, that's definitely a big key that is going to be an issue. And I would say the third is, I would say the middle eight has been an issue for Delaware throughout the middle 8 minutes, the last 4 minutes of the second quarter and the first 4 minutes of the third quarter. That kind of like changes the momentum of the game. Sometimes Delaware has a strong start, but then, kind of slows off in the middle way and maybe lets a team back in, or maybe loses its pace in that game if it's a shootout. So I would say the middle 8 minutes is a big thing I'm watching out for. Maybe I should say the start, because this is going to be a pretty, I would say, emotional game, because Delaware thought their season was over. They kicked it. It's been a big controversial thing. I don't know if Louisiana fans saw it, but it was actually 58-31 with 1 second left in their final game. Delaware called a timeout and kicked the field goal and make it 61-31. UTEP coach wasn't happy. UTEP fans weren't happy. But that was kind of the send-off for Delaware, that they thought we might not have another game. We want to just send it off on the year. It broke some records for kicking. It broke some school records overall. So it's going to be emotional. They're going to get out there, and so maybe I should change that middle eight to the start. Just how can you control the emotions and environment? It's going to be on ESPN. Delaware struggled on ESPN a lot this year. I'm thinking of weekday Conference USA matchups through the month of October. They lost a heartbreak on ESPN network against Western Kentucky. Missed a game tying kick as time expired. And they lost another tough one against Louisiana Tech.
No, you beat Louisiana Tech. Thank you.
We beat Louisiana Tech, lost Jacksonville State in a tough one. So I'd say actually the start. I'll have to switch the middle to the start. It's just having an emotional game, the first bowl matchup in the FBS era for the Blue Hens. So I'd say definitely that would be my third.
Yeah, I'm excited for those guys. And I'm excited for you, man. I mean, we went 100 years without having a meaningful bowl game, until 2014. Was it 14 or 12, Lane? I don't remember. But it was, we got our first bowl game, and it was just, I'm sorry, Lane, what was it? Was it 14?
It was 2011.
2000. You say I was totally wrong. But it, amazing experience. It was right there down in New Orleans. We brought out 40,000 fans. I mean, it was absolutely so cool. Amazing. You'll enjoy it. Your players will enjoy it. They will have an awesome experience. And of course, you'll get to know some of our fans and have a lot of fun. And speaking of having a lot of fun, now that we've got all that out the way, I want to have a little bit of fun with you. First of all, we talked about what a blue hen is. Is that a bird you can cook? Because I'm thinking literally, if we can get some blue hen gumbo. This is how we think in Louisiana, man. If we can put it in a fricassee or a gumbo or some etouffee or something, is that a bird you can eat, or is that frowned upon in the state of Delaware?
I would say, I remember the Florida International game this year, Miami, before the game started, which Delaware won. It was their first Conference USA game. It was a road game in September. They won 38-16, I believe it was, but FIU fans were posting before the game started a picture of the grill with chicken on it, and they're like, it's going to be a hen cooking here, and it didn't end up that way. But you cook it, I'll come by, I'll meet you guys, I'll love it all. We'll have a great time with each other. So we're just there celebrating our experience there, and it'll be a great time. I'm sure the gumbo will be great. I know the Southern cooking is always good.
Yeah, what is your idea of Cajun food? Just out of curiosity.
Oh, that's a good one. I haven't really been down to.
Do you think it's just like you put a whole lot of red pepper on it and make it spicy, and that's it?
Throw Cajun seasoning on it, and that does its job. Yep.
You ever heard of Tony Chachere's? No, you have no idea what I'm talking about. It's like Old Bay, but like real. Like Old Bay is stupid.
Old Bay's our thing.
That's terrible. No, that's terrible. I don't bring that around. No. Don't bring that to the cook-off. You don't know what boudin is, do you? Boudin? Nope, no idea. Cracklins? Nope. Oh man, if Josh goes, Lane, we gotta get the Best Stop on this. One of our sponsors you see in the corner there, the Best Stop, family-owned Cajun Market. Man, I'm telling you, we're gonna hook you up. Tabasco, yes. Heard of Tabasco? Okay, yes. That's right down the street. Okay, we'll give you a little leeway there. serious question. What the hell is there to do in Delaware, man? Like we have, we go down if we want to party. I mean, we party in Lafayette. We have one of the best cultures of Cajun culture in the world with music that you can go out any night and listen to live music. We've got New Orleans and that whole craziness. What the hell do you guys do in Delaware for fun?
I'd say Newark's a really fun college town. Newark is like basically the college. I would say like there's a fun Main Street on it. There's a lot of fun places to eat, to go out. I would say like Delaware is really fun, as you showed on the map earlier. It's a very narrow, skinny. You go from the tip of northern Delaware to the bottom of southern Delaware, and probably, I'd say on a good day, 90 minutes. So on southern Delaware, you get to the beaches, some really nice beaches down on the coast there. And it's really close to a lot of fun cities. So I think you're like within like 30 minutes to Philly. Yeah, I'd say like, I'm actually from Maryland, so like it's probably only like 30 to 45 minutes from Baltimore, and then probably like a little over an hour and a half to DC. And then New York's only a couple hours away. So it's actually like a great central hub. You can get to the beaches, and Newark College Town is great. Maybe we can after this, maybe our athletic departments can talk together, get a home and home, so we can experience. We'll have Old Bay at our tailgate.
Let's do it, man.
And still have fun with it.
I don't know about that, but I'd be down for going on a road trip. Well, that's not really a road trip. We'd have to fly there. I'm okay with that.
I'm flying down to Mobile. That's not a road trip either. My co-hosts are going to drive down there, but I'm flying down there. I think it's like a 14-hour drive one way, and nope. I'm good. I'm flying down.
I'm good. In South Louisiana, there are things we hate. We hate North Louisiana because they're southern Arkansas, basically. That's not Louisiana. We hate Baton Rouge. We cannot stand LSU. And we hate California. What do you guys hate? Is there anything that Delaware fans absolutely hate?
They hate James Madison in the playoff. I'll say that.
Jimmy Mads, man. But that's your encouragement. That's what you guys can aim for. I mean, Jimmy Mads, was FCS a couple years ago, just like you guys, and look at what they're doing.
James Madison and Delaware have a pretty strong rivalry in CAA back in the day, and I think eventually, maybe we'll eventually be in the same conference together with Jimmy Mads, but those two schools are not fans of each other. Say Villanova's another school, not a big Delaware fans. Villanova's had their number in the football side and definitely the basketball side. When those two meet on the court, Villanova basketball is a different level. But I'd say those two are probably I'm trying to think of like non sports of what they hate. See, I'm not like a Delawarean, I would say, growing up.
I know, but Delaware people just seem so nice. I want you to hate something. I don't know. It's not like New Jersey people who are just awful. Like Delaware people are just nice.
Too north, you have the mass holes, and but we're gonna kill them with kindness.
There you go. I like that. All right, and just a couple more questions. I'll let you off the hook. You kind of alluded to it earlier. The college football playoff versus FCS playoffs, totally different. And then you come to FBS and you have idiots like Powell from SEC ESPN on television saying they don't belong here. We need to get rid of them. It's got to be a little disappointing to you, but talk about like the last week and a recent FCS move up. Like it shouldn't be this complicated. Am I wrong? Like you guys have it figured out in the FCS side. The difference is there's so much money being poured into like 10 to 15 schools. So they want to protect that with all their entire livelihood is protecting these certain schools. Like, how do you feel coming from FCS to FBS and seeing this crap? I mean, are you like, we just want to go back down now? It was more fun over there. Or are you kind of like with us saying, no, screw you guys. Like, we're here to stay.
Yeah, I think my biggest thing is what I hate is saying that the G5 needs to create their own playoff. Like, if we wanted that, we would, like you said, we would have stayed in FCS if that's what we wanted.
Right. There's no difference. It's FCS light.
Yeah. In my opinion, every other collegiate sport in NCAA, the conference championship has to mean something. In the G5 level, unless you're not the G5 spot, or I guess this season's spots with the ACC turning out the way it did, they don't get a spot to compete for, I guess, a national championship. But every single collegiate sport outside of college football, which I know there's specific college football fans that have their opinion that you alluded to. especially the big schools. But every other sport, if you win your conference championship, you have a chance to win a national champion, whether that's a big chance or not. It doesn't matter. I, in my opinion, I like the FCS playoff format because every conference champion gets into the national championship playoff. I think I would love a format, even if I think there are 24. There's only 10 conferences. It doesn't have to be that complicated. It would add a little bit more at-large teams to help those maybe 10, 15 schools that cry about not making it every year and want to, I guess, push these other schools out, basically. I would love I've always said the 2014 format where every single conference gets a conference champion in, even if it's a playing game. And we know maybe the lower conferences in college basketball have to play in their way into the March Madness tournament. I still think all conferences should be have a place into the national bracket.
We'll see what happens, man. I think they're just.
I don't think it would happen because the money runs.
Yeah.
So.
And, they built this thing like they wanted it. And then when it doesn't work their way, they cry. It's just
every 2 years, they're going to come up with a new format. Last year, Boise State had a bye, and they're like, all right, we got to fix that. And
right. Can't have that happening.
And then this year, 2 G6 schools are in. So we got to figure out how to stop that. So people with money, people in those power positions are going to figure out a new way to make it their own.
But what they don't understand is that there are a whole lot of people out there that don't tune into Indiana playing Illinois or Wake Forest playing Temple or whoever. I'm watching games that matter to me in my conference, and I'm watching a Tulane, and I am watching a James Madison, and I am watching Louisiana Tech play Delaware because that's relevant to me. I want to see what happens there. So I just think they're just too on their high horse, and they just want to protect the big boys. That'll never change. Bryce, it has been a pleasure. Before we go, want to give you a chance to tell us about where we can find your socials, websites. Pimp yourself out now, man. Tell our viewers where they can check you out.
Nick Lane, thanks so much for having me and everyone on the team here. Super excited to kick off the bowl journey, and excited to have you guys over on our show later into this week. To learn more about the Raging Cajuns. So I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit about the Fighting Blue Hens. Hope it wasn't too much. I know I can talk for a while. So you can find my work. Me personally, you can find me at SSN_Blue Hens. You can find our work at feathersandfieldgoals.com. I would say now that we're in the bowl game, I can't really highlight the fun part of that really got, I would say, not just Delaware fans looking, but I would say a lot of Missouri State or maybe some other people interested. I would say I would probably had the first bowl tracker in terms of 4 to 5 win teams and who they were playing and how that affected Delaware's chance to get into the playoff. Because I think so that was a fun journey that was probably the only of its kind. So now that we're here, I can't really plug that, but I would say that was a fun part that really kickstarted our podcast. But you can find us on social media as well at Feathers FGS Pod. You can find us on YouTube or any of our audio formats, and we'll definitely be plugging the Raging review on our end. So super excited for this week and the build up to the 6-day Ventures Bowl.
Well, we will return the favor next week or later this week and talk to you guys as well. So we'll send that link out to promote you guys. But again, thank you, man. We appreciate it. If there's anything else we can do for you, man, please let us know. But best of luck next week. We look forward to the matchup. Like I said, I think it's going to be a close one. Some of our fans might be saying, "Oh, this will be a blowout." Not going to happen. So we look forward to the challenge and can't wait to hopefully have some of our guys meet you next week.
Thanks, guys. Super excited to meet a combination of you guys or your fans. Excited to get down there in the Mobile. First time.